Let's go. Welcome to the main event. Applying pressure, but I promise I ain't make it then. In their heads, living free, I ain't paying rent. Wake up in the AM, making G's like Mercedes-Benz. Whoa, yeah, please don't take it.
Welcome to the Pinnacle Living Podcast, helping you reach the pinnacle of both life and business. Here with the man, Sebastián Ayerbe. How you doing, bro?
Good, man. How are you?
Dude, I'm doing really well. Dude, you're one of those people, the first time we talked, I think I said it to you. I was like, Sebastián, we're going to be best friends.
Yeah, you did.
I was like, we're going to be tight, dude. So you are on the cusp. I think you're like 2K away from your first 40K month.
Yeah.
So first off, congratulations.
Thank you, brother.
And dude, been a long time coming. And you have quite the career in sales, been successful in another industry and bringing that into insurance. So for people, I think a lot of our directs, I think people see you on the leaderboards, people see you in live dials, but for people who don't know you, give them a little background on your career past.
So when COVID hit, I became a personal trainer.
Mm-hmm.
I did that for probably about a year.
Mm-hmm.
And I was training my buddy. That's funny, you know him, Dawson.
Mm-hmm.
I was training Dawson like 4 a.m. and he would always show me, $22,000 a week. I'm like, bro, what are you doing? So he was doing solar at the time. He kept trying to, entice me to start. But I'm like, I'm not dumb, bro. I know I'm not going to make that money.
Mm-hmm.
It took him probably like 6 or 7 months. And then he got me to start.
Yeah. Which I got to say real quick is so funny hearing that from you, because I think anybody that knows you now is like, dude, Sebastián is a natural salesperson.
Yeah, I
like
hadn't
the
done
way you
anything.
connect, way you talk to people, but you didn't have that belief in yourself when you first started. So talk about going into solar.
So I would say the first 6 months, super tough.
Mm-hmm.
You're going door to door. I didn't really have any capital resources to start any of that. I would say month 7 maybe, I started closing deals and then skyrocketed.
Mm-hmm.
Got really good at that, steady on the leaderboards. Probably did like, I don't know, $5, $6, $7 million in personal sales with the solar team.
Mm-hmm.
And then, after a couple of years of that, you start managing teams. Things were going really well, but that job really follows the market, right? If interest rates are super high, it's getting really tough to sell.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, honestly, we saw that it maybe had a year or 2 left of piping as hard as we were going.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a call from a buddy, and he was like, "Hey, man, life insurance. I've seen all these teams start jumping over," and I was like, "Dude, life insurance, bro. I think I have a guy in my DMs right now trying to recruit me for life insurance."
Mm-hmm.
And it was Joe, the CEO. So I messaged him back. I'm like, "Hey, man, I think I'm good to do a phone call. I'm not really ready to make the jump. We're doing great. I got a team over here. But let's do the call." And he cleared his schedule. We talked for like 3 hours, and I couldn't believe it. I rounded up the boys. I was like, "Hey, I think we're jumping ship here." And so you two flew us out to Chicago. We spent about a week out there, kind of learned all the sales and stuff. And funny enough, if you remember, the one guy I brought with me, the first guy he got on the phone, you sold him for like a $6,000 AP.
Mm-hmm.
First deal immediately off rips, first day. So we were pretty bought in, and honestly, like a big thing I think about is if you look at the solar company, it's, hey, is anybody making $500,000?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 1 kid, maybe 2.
Mm-hmm.
You look here, there's agents that are doing $1 million, 1.2 off their own pen, no overrides, like strict commissions. It's crazy.
I remember talking to Joe. I had just started this and I was trying to bring him in, and I was telling him about the commissions that I had made, because I was like 3 or 4 weeks in, I had a big week of deposits, and he's like, "Yeah, well, how big's your team?" And I was like, "I don't have a team
Just
yet.
me.
Like maybe you."
Yeah.
And like some other people that were coming in. So for you coming from the solar industry, you're saying that was different in insurance.
Yeah. Really, it's going to be the top guys in the solar company. It's the top guys that, are sitting on top of a team. Maybe they're not selling as much anymore, but just sitting collecting the overrides and stuff, which was cool. I had my own team, and I just thought it was the end all be all. I was like, no, I'm going to figure something else out, when solar's dead. But I think we saw the writing on the wall pretty quick. Sales started slowing down. I mean, just things were changing, There was a huge boom for it, I would say, in 22.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone made a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's also the freedom, man. Like, I was never home.
Mm-hmm.
We were driving across the state. I mean, staying in Airbnbs 3 weeks out of the month. I'm sleeping in my house 4 nights out of the month.
Right.
And when Joe told me, I got a big, I really like being in Europe.
Yeah.
I like having the freedom to be somewhere else. And I went, I probably spent about a month out in Portugal, Spain. But I remember I was like, man, I'm blowing money.
Yeah.
And I was getting paid because the cycles there are like 2-3 months for the pay. But I can't really sell a solar system from out here.
Right.
So you start seeing, the freedom that comes with this. You just
Mhm.
need Wi-Fi and a
Yeah.
phone, and you can make it happen. I work from home.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know, it's second to none. I honestly, I believe if you come and start doing life insurance and do well,
Mm-hmm.
it's very, very hard to recruit someone like that to do anything else.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's that, no one's ever said it to me quite like that, but it's hard to imagine myself going to do something else after knowing the freedom. Like, I remember something that was so big for you guys was just like the speed of getting paid.
Forgot about that. Yeah.
Like, you're like, I remember we closed that first deal. One of the first questions are, well, when does that pay? I was like, well, their payment comes out tomorrow. So like the next day I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Because what's typical for people that are listening to this and they're completely foreign to solar? What's normal in that industry?
You sign all the documents, project goes into engineering. Maybe you're ready for an install after 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
Project gets installed. You got to wait for funding. Funding gets paid to the company. Now you got to wait till the company pays you. That's a big thing here is, the money doesn't go to you guys before it goes to us. We're direct contractors with
Oh yeah, you
these
get
carriers.
paid from the carriers.
Yeah, it's super funny. So yeah, I would say probably like 2 months before it clears.
Mhm.
And anything can happen. You get hit with, oh, there were adders on this system. This guy needed a main panel upgrade, so here's $3,000 out of your commission, and you're like,
Yeah.
hold on. I
Yeah.
thought I was, gonna get this, whatever.
I just learned about that the other day. Someone was like, oh, adders were the devil. I'm like, what's an adder?
Yeah.
Oh, and just like things that came on that the money had to come from somewhere. So it came from you.
Of course. I remember the craziest thing here. I sold a Mutual of Omaha policy by maybe 9 a.m. and I
Mhm.
was paid the same day. I got a commission summary that night. I was like, no way, man.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So, dude, talk about the transition, because I think for you personally, and I'll let you speak to it yourself, you're making some sales here and there, kind of finding the footing. I think, like me, I was, I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but for me, dude, I was stubborn. And I was like, okay, like I know how to sell things. And so that like stifled me a little bit. What would you say your kind of come into insurance leading up to this 40K a month? What was this journey like for you?
I think it was a lot of, I'm working the wrong things. I'm trying to get my foot in everywhere. I would see these guys writing $100,000 a month. I'm like, dude, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
We're buying the same leads. Clearly, there's going to be a skill gap. I just started this, but what are these guys doing? Are they buying more expensive leads? And like you and Joe would always, you're preaching to the choir, spend more money.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, yeah, well, I might be able to just get a little bit better,
Mm-hmm.
spending kind of the bare minimum on leads, making really just kind of getting by 10, 12, 15K a month.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys were like, listen, man, I think you're ready for these strong points. I think you're ready for the more expensive leads.
Mm-hmm.
And so I talked to Marco a lot. And really what it just took was, it doesn't matter what you have, just invest.
Mm-hmm.
Do it, right? Backs against the wall. You just spend all this money. Make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I think like the first week we went to the strong points, I spent $2,500 on them, and I profited, I think, 13 or 14,000 off of those. So I was like, okay. So it was essentially I'm bouncing around from lead vendor,
Mm-hmm.
trying to find what's going to work for me.
Mhm.
Buying leads from so and so, so and so, so and so. A lot of dials, a lot of following up with people, and then I
Mhm.
just realized like I'm pretty good at doing this. I can talk to people. So instead of, I don't know, bumping through 50, 60 people a day,
Yeah.
that, oh, you're the 10th guy this week,
Mm-hmm.
these strong points, man.
Yeah.
I just call them, connect really quick. It's a one-call close. They
Yeah.
do everything they're looking to do.
Yeah.
So I think it had a lot to do with the organization and just trusting yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, and when you talk about, obviously people don't know what a strong point lead is. It's a fresh digital mortgage lead. So obviously you can get age leads for significantly cheaper.
Mhm.
So you're getting old pieces of mail, old data, the person filled it out 6 months ago, a year ago, 2, 3 years ago. And the great thing about those leads are they were super cheap.
Mhm.
So when you made a sale, you were making a great
Yeah.
ROI. So it was kind of what I'm hearing for you, it was kind of hard to let that go
Yeah,
at the beginning.
for sure.
And you're like, okay, because I'm spending, I mean, to write 10, 15,000 a month, you are probably only spending a couple grand maybe
Yeah, if that. Oh,
on
if that. Yeah,
on
yeah. Mhm.
leads. So your profitability is there, but you're like, I'm not hitting the numbers that I want
Yeah.
to hit. So what was the push to be like, dude? Because I remember you saying it to me. You came to me and you were like, dude, I'm blocking out everything
I
else.
deleted social
You're
media.
like, I've deleted social media. It's 30 grand or bust. Like, what made that a passion for you to where you're like, I have to do this?
That it was just month after month of not hitting that initial goal of 30.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, in order to get things you want, you have to sacrifice something. So I
Mhm.
just fell off the map. I just went to the gym, focused on myself, just stayed inside. And I was just like, I got to make a push for it. Clearly working harder or whatever I thought was going to be like the recipe for success was
Mhm.
not working.
Mm-hmm.
So lead spend. The
Yeah.
last thing that I could have done, just spend more money.
Yeah.
And I mean, it started happening.
Well, I mean, it just makes sense, right? It's like when you're sitting down, you're really just with your lead spend, what you're controlling is the amount of people you're talking to, right?
Yeah.
Because how hard were you working those older leads to talk to 10, 15 people a week?
Oh yeah, and see, it's hard because you got a lot of killers here who do write 40, 50K off those older leads.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'm just like, you know what? I need to find something and stick to it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what I did. The first week didn't let me down, so that's all I've been doing since then.
So what did it look like this month? Like I said, right on the cusp of 40K. What did the lead investment look like?
As of now, I'm at 7,500. So the first week I did a $2,500 spend, came up like 14. The second week I dropped the bar so bad because it's speed to lead. You got to call these people immediately, right?
Mhm.
I, Saturday, Sunday didn't work a ton, and that's when a majority of these leads came in.
Mm-hmm.
By the time Monday, Tuesday rolled around, it's hard to get them on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
So I still have, 30, 40 leads that haven't been contacted,
Mm-hmm.
but you can't get them on the phone.
Yeah.
So on the third batch, so really, I'm 7,500 in, right at 38, 39,000.
Mm-hmm.
But most of that business was written off a $5,000 spend.
Yeah. So basically going to get a pretty hardcore minimum 5x
For sure.
return, which
Yeah.
I don't think any business owners out there or even people in the sales industry, they're not confused. That's
Oh,
incredible.
yeah.
What does it feel like your biggest comparison coming from a door-to-door industry where you are constantly prospecting, constantly trying to get yourself in front of a potential client? You have no idea what their intent is, no idea if they're even, hey, is this roof going to be the right roof? Do they have the right credit?
Everything.
To working a lead like, hey, I want this. Like, what is that like for you, just thinking about that comparison?
I mean, it's just night and day.
Mhm.
Again, I didn't know this was that lucrative.
Mhm.
That's why I didn't even answer Joe's initial DM.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, you used to have hard days door to
Mhm.
door. You're knocking 8, 10 hours a day. You're driving home, sweating, smelling horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Hour and a half drive, whatever. Here, I remember I texted you one time. I'm like, man, we really got it today. And you're like, tough day? I'm like, dude, tough day. What are you talking about, tough day? No, we weren't able to make it happen. But like, it's just not real.
Mhm.
You have a hard day, people didn't answer. Okay, call more people.
Right.
You're home.
Mhm.
You're in AC. You're the most comfortable you can be. It's just night and day for me. I think door to door guys they transfer very well into
Mhm.
this, because you're already doing this 10 times harder.
Yeah.
Maybe a face-to-face sale is easier. Hop on a Zoom with them.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be really hard to switch to the phones
Mhm.
because I feel like I connect when I'm in front of somebody,
Mm-hmm.
right? If I had 45 minutes inside your house and you have good credit, you're going to get sold.
Right.
But it's the same thing on the phones. I truly believe people need this. If
Right.
you don't have a ton of money or a good business, the number one way to leave wealth to the next generation is life insurance.
Yeah.
Right? Pay, a couple $100 a month into a policy. Your kids start off with something.
Yeah.
And people know that, they're looking for it. It's just
Yeah.
my job to find a right time, make it make sense, And like you said, don't try to hit them all out of the park. They don't all have to be a $5,000-$6,000 AP, Just, I think consistency too.
Yeah.
With these strong points, like with these better leads I've been working, I don't necessarily have I won't not work on a Sunday wherever I'm at. If, I have my iPad in the car or whatever, I have my phone, I'll call them.
You had what? Was it a 4 or 5K Sunday this past Sunday?
Yeah. And that was literally, I was just sitting at home. I wasn't, out, but I was just sitting there. I'd get a lead, pick them up, call them. I got time right now. I have time in an hour, so yeah, maybe I'm working 7 days a week, but way less hours than, somebody would be used to.
Yeah. We haven't got to talk about this yet, and I'm really glad because I want to get your authentic thoughts. I came from, we've talked about this part before, almost a decade of door-to-door sales. And like you were talking about, I'm sitting in front of somebody, they have good credit, I'm in their home, I'm going to push to get this person sold. The sales process for insurance is so much simpler than anything else I've sold, especially when you're working a lead, a person who raised their hand. They're like, Sebastian, I want insurance.
Agreed. Yeah.
Speak to the sales process and how it's different from what you were doing before.
I mean, realistically, I don't just say this because I'm out of the industry. I don't think anybody really needs, solar panels. Would I sell it to my parents? No. Would I sell life insurance to my parents? Yeah. So I think there's a different level of, conviction. I knew what my job was before, right? Get panels on the roof. And it's still, you're going to save them money. Yeah, maybe it makes sense in the long run. But with stuff like this, I mean, there's just so much conviction. You don't have anything in place. Your daughter is, 18 years old. How is she going to pay for this if something happens to you? There's just so many ways that this makes sense. I feel like if we were to have like an argument or like a discussion, you can't talk me out of this making sense. I have a policy on myself. I'm 24. You know what I mean? It's just, but also getting them from point A to point B takes 15 minutes.
Right.
There's no selling as long as they can make it make sense, right, with their finances, and people will find the money.
Yeah.
Again, this isn't $500-$600 a month. It's usually, a couple $100 to get exactly what you're trying to do. But you're not convincing anybody of really anything. It's timing, and maybe people are just scared to say yes to the transition. But again, it's like, listen, you asked for this, right? In a perfect world, you already have this coverage. We're not even having this conversation. Just for the next 15 minutes, we have to get this submitted to the carrier.
Yeah.
That's it.
I remember the first time I worked insurance lead. Now I'd worked like referrals before in door to door, like, oh yeah, go to this neighbor, and that was great. I always look for that. But I'd never worked a lead. And I remember the first time showing up to a lead. I'd call, book the appointment, physically went to the house. The lady opened up the door, and the first thing she said was, "You're the insurance guy." And I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Come on in. We've been waiting for you."
Nice.
And I was like, yeah, you understand it coming from door to door. Because door to door, it's, who are you? You're a stranger. Like, just showed up to my house.
Not interested.
Yeah, not interested. Just off the basis that you're a stranger at my house. Like, I don't want to be sold. And learning how to overcome that, like, was a big hurdle, like starting off in the industry. And, I got it, but it was something you always had to deal with. I didn't even sell that lady, but I walked out of there. It was like I was walking on clouds, Sebastian, because I'm like, people know I'm showing up for insurance. Like, I'm going to crush this.
Yeah.
And to your point, the time, because it's like you'd walk in, like the first thing I sold was final expense, which was, hey, Bob, who's going to pay for your funeral? Mary. You going to be cremated or buried? He's like,
crazy.
Buried. And he's like, all right, I'm asking a couple house questions. Look at the budget. Here's your options. Which one? That one. And dude, I'm on to the next appointment in like 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah. That's
and I was like, dude, I've never done something as simple. And to your point, and I think this cannot be overlooked, dude, I sold lawn care, cable, energy. Those were not life and death.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Were they good for the client? Sure. Like, yeah, save them a couple bucks. It's nice. But if I'm being very, very honest, it was me getting that person to like me and them seeing some value in the product and making that happen. And it was a fun challenge
Correct, yeah.
for me. For this, dude, the first death claim I paid was I went to a seminary for school. The first death claim I paid was to a pastor's wife that paid off her house
Right.
after he passed away. I'm like, wow, this actually is life and death. This is changing
Yeah, yeah.
people's lives, their financial futures, the people they care about most. When you walk up to a lead, that beneficiary is probably the person they, if not one of the people they love most in life, the number one
course.
person that they want to take care of. I'm meeting with a client to help them take care of the person they love most in the world.
Yeah.
Like, dude, that lets me be so passionate. And I'm not passionate just about putting money in my bank account. I'm passionate about
Right, you're
actually
saving 'em.
protecting this family. And that's a cool thing.
I agree.
Like, you can make this a mission.
That's true. But that's kind of the intent here, right? People over profit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how everyone deals with everything. You're helping families.
Yeah.
And we can create generational wealth doing exactly that.
Dude, beautifully said. You talked about, obviously, leads, not having the right lead flow coming up to this 40K month. Was there anything else that you feel like was holding you back in early presentations and early in your career that was kind of messing up the sales process? Because I imagine there's going to be agents watching this. They might be like you were. They're at those 10, 15K months. They're like, dude, how do I get to 30, 40? I know you learned a couple key things. What were some of those things?
You taught me building pain.
Mm-hmm.
Before I was just, here are the numbers, what do you want to do?
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, like, this makes sense, but they have to see it, right? Walk them through it. Again, they filled this form out at some point in time for a reason. It wasn't just, hey, let me put all my information on this, send it through and see what happens, right? At a moment in time, this was very important to them, and they filled this out. So building a lot of pain, I think consistency, number one. Super easy to either have 3 really good days, take the rest of the week off, or have 3 really bad days, take the rest of the week off. It's, again, this is not hard, you know? Just dial more people. But also, I think getting around the right people. I think the first time I went to a lock-in with Caleb Combs, I was just surrounded by it, right? Top producers left and right. So I'm like, what am I going to do? Not sell anything this week, right? Not do anything? But it's crazy getting into like a virtual kind of company. All of our meetings are online on Zoom, right? It's not a lot of face-to-face. Everyone having the same mindset, right? Everyone being locked in on those meetings, right? Doing the same thing. Everyone's got the same mission in mind. That makes it a little bit easier. I feel like when I first started, I was like, not going to get on that meeting. I'm going to work. I'm going to do this. I'm going to whatever. But getting super involved, I guess, with the company, seeing everyone do it, it's just, it's good to be surrounded by people that are doing the same thing that you are.
Yeah.
And then I just can't say it enough, lead spend.
Yeah. You hit a couple really big things. So obviously it's easy, and I've done this as a sales rep so many times, even before this industry. So this just taught me so much, even with the way I deal with people. Because like sometimes you walk into a situation and I see the problem, but the client doesn't see it the same way. And if I don't do a good job of communicating what that is, we might not connect. Because a lot of times a lead, they filled it out for a reason. They know they need something. They don't know exactly what it is. And if we can connect on what that reason was, we're 90% the way to the sale. And then, so that building the pain, building the why, dude, talking about surrounding yourself with other people that are killing it. I think that's one of the coolest things about Pinnacle. Dude, what is the value of live dials, lock-ins, like connecting yourself to other top producers? What has that been for you?
I think it's almost like you're in an office setting without necessarily being cubicle next to cubicle with people. Because it's like, okay, I just had maybe a hard dial, maybe they didn't answer, but somebody's on there and they're unmuted and they're going through the whole thing. Now you're learning. It's constant learning, right?
Yeah.
Even if you think you're doing so well, somebody just did a perfect presentation. They got their point across. They completely won the client over. But you're seeing that all the time.
Yeah.
So on the live dials, it's almost like everyone's in this room doing the same thing as I am, right? All over the state, all over the country. But again, everyone's just dialed in. I think it's really hard to do virtual sales when you don't really know where one's doing. Okay, this guy's not working. This girl's not working. He
Maybe
didn't
having
show
a
up.
hard day, you're staring at the wall in your house, and you're like, a sandwich sounds
Yeah,
good.
yeah. It's tough, like to just be dialed with the whole day. But again, if we're on the live dials, everyone else is on there too, right? You want to get somebody on the phone so you can unmute, have people hear how you're talking to the clients, maybe give you feedback. But I think the biggest thing is learning, right?
Yeah.
I've been in places where maybe the top producer doesn't share his knowledge.
Yeah, they gate kept.
Yeah. They just keep to themselves. Okay, I'm doing great. Good luck to everybody else. Here, it's like, okay, this guy just did 30K last week. Let's have him on the meeting and explain for 30, 45 minutes and a Q&A after how he did it. That's huge. That's huge.
Yeah. And then, dude, speaking to that consistency, that is the bane of every entrepreneur, because it's so easy to let go of momentum.
Yeah.
I think that's what you're talking about, right? It's I made a sale or two, I'm done for the day.
Yeah.
As opposed to realizing, okay, this is momentum that I'm going to ride, which seeing you do that this month has been crazy, because sometimes there'll be maybe a day or two there's no sales, and then I'll see a sale. And it's like, so you're riding momentum. Speak to the power of keeping going when you're doing well and persevering when you're doing bad, because you've done that as well.
I think you get on a phone call, man, I hope this goes well. Man, I haven't had one in 3 days. I really hope this goes well. I hope they have, the money for it. I hope they understand kind of what we're talking about. Now we're on the phone, 30 minutes. It's going to make sense. It's all aligned for you, But, the momentum is just insane. It's the difference in mentality of the beginning of the month again. Like, I really hope this goes well. You're getting on the call. I hope they answer. Now it's like, nope, I was told to call at 9 a.m. They're going to pick up the phone. In 25 minutes, we're submitting an application. And that's how it's been.
Yeah.
Really, just like, it's not even not taking no for an answer. You get to this alignment of energy where the client knows exactly what it is. And I just feel like it's it's my conviction with this stuff now.
Yeah.
It almost just seems to be happening for me as soon as I welcomed it all to start happening. So like, I'm still even pretty mad. I'm going to try to do 50 this month, but I'm very mad that that's not what we're talking about now. I want to get to, $80,000 months, right?
I've seen obviously you've always had a strong mindset. That's something I knew about you from the beginning. I've obviously seen that develop, and that's what we're really talking about, right? It's this mindset that is like, dude, like, I'm expecting to win. Like, I'm not going on there expecting all the obstacles.
Exactly.
Like, I know they're going to be there,
Yeah.
but like, I'm expecting to win. What was there like a moment when that like clicked for you? Was it anger from like a disappointment, or was it seeing it in someone else? Do you remember what that was?
It was like an aggression with myself for not being able to cross the 30, right? Like, I have downlines. I have agents under me, right? They always say your agents are going to do, 50% of what you're doing. So how am I going to expect somebody to have a breakout month if I haven't had a breakout month, But I really don't like to be celebrating the 40. Again, I see guys in here doing 100, 120 a month. So it's good. Like, it's good to watch that. It's not even competition, like, I'm happy for them, but respectfully, there's nothing that they're doing that I can't, right?
Yeah.
So I just need to be doing everything that they're doing.
Yeah.
And what I noticed was these guys don't stop.
Yeah.
10 o'clock at night, I'm shutting it down. Maybe I'm working out, whatever. People are sending in, applications. It's like, I can do that too.
Yeah.
I'm young. I don't have,
Yeah.
That was it though. And it's, I pay attention to that a lot. You don't get down. I never, oh man, he did this. That's crazy. It's a good thing. That's crazy. How did you do it? I would call him. I call everyone that's doing well and ask them, hey, how are you doing this? Help me. What are you doing? What kind of leads are you getting? What are you saying to them? But everyone's always happy to answer, happy to share everything with you. Nobody really turns you away. But that's another thing, right? If you come on, new agent, and you're afraid to reach out, you're going to probably stay where you're at. You know? I don't have like an ego when it comes to that, right? It's like a trait of like humility, right? I'm gonna call you, bro. You're doing great.
Yeah.
Teach me, please. And a lot of these agents helped,
Yeah. Did you hit two really big things there? I think the first one is, and I can't emphasize this enough, and I see it in every top producer, which is seeing someone else win and being like, they're not doing anything I can't do.
Yeah.
which I think is a big key to your success. You were seeing other people win, and you were like, if they can do it, why not me?
Yeah, you clap for everyone until it's your turn.
Yeah. And then that reaching out, which I think is another big part. Like, because I think you can agree, like, dude, the culture at Pinnacle is people want to help other people.
Yeah.
And just reaching out. And I remember someone making it, it was like the first time our agency had, I think, broke 7 figures a month. And someone walked up to me, and I was at a conference speaking. And it was like the first person that had walked up to me, it was like almost the end of the day. And they were like very apologetic. And they were like, oh, I'm sorry to be walking up to you. I'm sure people like talk your ear
Do
off
this
and
all the
ask you
time.
so much. And the truth is, it's like, no, actually, my phone isn't ringing off the hook. Like people that are like asking, because I think with the assumption that sometimes people have, and I've even had this at times, which is like, oh, they have something special I couldn't do
Yeah.
what they're doing. But when people have that, like, oh, I can do it, let me just figure out what they're doing. Like, dude, that's so powerful.
Don't get me wrong, though. Some of these guys, I hear them on the phone. I'm like, that's crazy.
Yeah, they are. We had some
Yeah.
good ones for sure. Dude, we're going into 2025. Obviously, you have some really good friends bringing in the industries, really sharp agents. Dude, what is the goal for 2025, and how are we going to make that happen?
Personally, I'm going to hit President's Club,
Without a doubt.
but I've had these kind of like golden handcuffs where I can't really recruit, just like out of respect for the guys I was with before, you know. But definitely building the agency. You know, I feel like I'm really good with recruiting, but I feel like it's not a game of talking about it. You have to prove yourself first. So having, you know, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 months is obviously going to bring people start gravitating towards you, right? Okay, let me do this. You know, I'm not doing this at the job that I'm at now. Can you replicate it? Can you show me how to do it?
Yeah.
So big goal for me. I'm going to hit President's Club for sure. So happy. I just saw Kelly hit it. He's insane. But it'd be really cool to have an agency. I don't want, you know, 100 people where 80 of them don't work, but 20, 30 really solid guys, really solid girls hit like getting after it to be able to write maybe $250,000, $500,000 together in AP in a month would be really good.
Yeah, dude, that'd be incredible, dude. You absolutely can do it. And I know some of the people you're bringing in some crushers.
Yeah.
Dude, if there's an agent out here who is aspiring to do what you're just done this month, and you could give them, you've just dropped so many pieces of wisdom, but dude, if you could give them one gold nugget in particular to either, and maybe even someone thinking about the insurance industry, what would it be?
I say just jump. You know, there's no, that's another thing that helped me is like there's no better time. It's not next month, start right now, you know. Faith in yourself, be super consistent. I think consistency beats all. Discipline, right? Maybe get rid of the social media for a while, just lock in. It's cool to be alone, grinding it, you know. Call out on the right people, but make sure what you're asking for, you're deserving of it too. You know,
Yeah.
you can't expect a $50,000 month not spending any money on leads, right? Not asking people for help, not showing up every day. I just don't be afraid to do anything. Everyone here answers the phone. Everyone's got, you know, answers for you. Everyone can help. So I don't know. I think it's a lot of stuff, but ask for help, spend money on leads, work longer hours until it starts hitting, you know, just always be learning.
Yeah. Dude, this has been phenomenal, dude. Sebastián, I'm so excited for, dude, your success this month. Dude, 2025 is going to be crazy. Thank you so much for joining us. Dude, if someone wants to work with you, how do they get a hold of you?
Social media, give me a phone call, really anything. Or you guys, you know, I trust you guys to start throwing, you know, good, consistent agents my way. But it's more so at a point where I don't even necessarily want somebody that doesn't want better for themselves, because this is a lot. You know, you do have to hold their hand when they start. Fully willing to do that. I mean, I do that for my agents, help them out wherever I can. But people that are, you know, half in, part-time, I don't really know if I want to do this. Okay, I don't know if you want to do this either, you know. So I feel like in a very good age group where people are going to be very hungry for it, those we can definitely take with us.
100%. Thank you so much, Sebastián. This has been great. Guys, thank you so much for joining us today. God bless you. We'll see you at the Pinnacle.
Whoa, yeah. Please don't take it.